Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to perform lookup on values that are separated by line feeds, but not change the place settings of those values. So what does that mean? Let's say, for example, that we've got a table here that has values. These are standard industry codes, SIC codes, and they tell you what industry title belongs to those codes. And let's say, for example, this can almost be anything. Like when you think about it, these values here, uh, we want them to have the corresponding title or name, some other looked up value. But let's say we don't really want to change the places in the cells. We don't always want these to have these 4 here, these to have these 8 here, these to have these 3, and these to have these 4. So this could be a requirement based on maybe some of your stakeholders or your boss or something like that, where they want you to look up something and bring back something else, but not change the place setting of that value. And in the end, so it's going to look something like this, where we have our lookup value and something that corresponds to that looked up value, right? So how to do something like this? You can probably do it in Excel with some combination of text to columns and some functions, but in Power Query, it becomes a lot easier to do this. So let's see how we can do this. I have my standard industry code data here. Let's scroll up to the top here. It's a pretty big data set here. And I have the data that I showed in an example. So what I'm going to do is bring both of these in as tables into Power Query. Now Power Query is one of those business intelligence features that is available natively in Excel 2016. However, if you have previous versions of Excel, 2010 or 2013, you're going to have to download it from Microsoft and enable it. So how do we start this off? Well, we just go under Data and from Table, and it's going to turn this range of data into a table. My table does have headers. The first row is the header field. Click OK, and it's going to open up the Power Query window. And all I need to do is just close and load and save it as a connection for now. So I want to do this for both tables, close and load, and just save it as a connection for now. Click load, and we'll do the same thing for the SIC data. So I'll click in here, click anywhere within this range of data, go to data, and from table, and my table has headers, and this is table 2, and it's going to do the same thing, and I'm going to click close and load. Right? Close and load to the connection. If you just click close and load, it'll close and load into a table and it'll create a new worksheet there. But I want to have only the connection, so I'll load that. So what I'll do after this is I'm going to go back into table 1, right click edit, and I'm going to do some manipulation of this data. So the first thing I need to do is I want to add an index column. So I want to make sure that this grouping of text comes first, this is second, this is third, this is fourth. So I'll go to add column and add index column, and I'm going to have that start from 1. So it's going to create 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Now what I want to do is I want to take this data and I want to separate it out. Very similar to a text to columns feature, Power Query has something called split column. And I'm going to split it by delimiter. And the delimiter here is a line break or a line feed. And Power Query is actually smart enough to know or kind of find out that there is a line feed that is separating all of this. So that's why it's giving you that pound LF in parentheses. Now I want to do it every occurrence of the delimiter, and I want to split it by rows. I want to separate these by rows so I can do my lookup later on. So I'll click on rows, click OK, and now you notice that I've got my values here separated in rows, and also correspondingly that grouping of 4 is still here associated with those 4 SIC codes. These 8 are associated with these 8 codes, right? I want to also keep the order of this, and so I'm going to add another column, another index column here. So I'll go to add column, index column from 1. So it's going to show that I have 1 here, but I've got the order. This order is for the grouping when you think about it, but this order is for the grouping within this big group, right? So we need to have these two available for us, because when we do our lookup, it's going to affect that. the order, so we need to be able to reorder it ascendingly. Now, what I can do here is I can merge the data here. So I'm going to go click this column, and I think under Home, I'll click on Merge Queries, and I'm going to merge the other query that I picked up, the SIC query, right, from the SIC table. So that's table 2. And the column that we want to look up the information from is this SIC column, right? So we want to match, we want to take this 1221 and see if there's a match here and bring back over this industry title, right? So I'm going to click on the SIC code, and I'm going to keep left outer join. So it's going to keep everything in this left table and bring in any matching from the second table. So it's only going to bring in the matching of these two columns. If it finds a match for 1221, it's going to bring back 1221 and whatever comes for that title. Right? So I'll click OK, and it's going to create a separate table here. If I click here, it's going to open up just the values for 1221, and that's not what I want, right? It did find something for there, but that's not what I want it for everything. So I will click that to delete that particular step. You can see that it made a history of all the steps I've done. I just need to click on the white space here to kind of see what it did, so I can verify that it's found something. So I didn't find anything for this one, right? But it's found something for this one, and of course some of the other ones. What I want to do here now is I want to expand this table and just keep this column. So I'll click on the double-headed arrow and deselect everything and just select the industry code. I don't need to use the original column name as a prefix. It's going to put some additional text in there, which I don't need. I can make my own column headings later on. So I'll click OK, and it says industry title. So now you notice, see how it's done this? So it's brought back the title, but you can see what it's done here is it's made it in alphabetical order, and all the nulls show up last. So I can go ahead and reset this. I'll say let's make this ascending first, that comes first, and have this ascending again, right? So now it's kind of back in the original order which it came in. Now I want to create a different column to kind of pull in the SIC data, or the SIC text, and also this industry title, to kind of combine them together. So what I'm going to do is first put some values in this null here, because if these weren't there, they just become empty space, and when I bring back into Excel, it's not going to properly display it within the one cell itself. So I'm going to create another column here, add column, and it's going to be a conditional column. So it's going to have kind of an if-then statement column when you think about it. Click on this. Whoops, I forgot to select the column. Well, actually, I don't need to do that. I can just select it from here. I'm going to select, I just leave that for now. I won't give them a name. But I will click here, and I want to change this. So this industry title, if it equals null, then I want to have this bring back the value here, that particular SIC value. So it's going to select column, and I want that SIC column, right? Otherwise, keep what's in this column, which is the title, right? So I'll select column and select industry title and click OK. And that will bring back this value if there's a value there. If there's a null, it brings back that value. And I want to probably put these two columns together, or values from this column and this column together. And that can be done with a merge columns function. So in order to merge the columns, you can see it's grayed out here. I need to pick the columns I want to merge. So I'm going to merge this column, press Control key, and merge that column. And now you see that these show up. After I click merge column, it's going to ask me if I want to put a separator. And it's probably a good idea to put a separator here. I'm just going to put in a dash. So I have a space before the dash, and then the dash, and a space after the dash. The new column, I'm just going to give it SIC dash, and then we'll call that title. Click OK, and now it's merged those two columns together. It's given me this value, which is kind of nice. And now what I need to do is group these columns, right? Don't need the other columns anymore. So I don't need this column anymore. I don't need this one. I don't need this one because I've already got my SIC-title column. I probably don't really need this index.1 column anymore, the secondary index column more because I'm going to group it by this column. So I'll, with the control key still clicked, click on that, and then right click, remove columns. So I'll remove all these columns. So what I want to do now is I want to group these values by this grouping. This is going to be one grouping, number 2 is going to be another grouping, 3 is going to be another grouping, 4 is going to be another grouping. So go under home, group by, and we're going to group by the index. I'll just leave that count for now. I'm going to change that later. And I want to group all rows. Click OK, and now you see that it's grouped it out. So if I click here, you'll notice that it has put everything that's in one as this, and this is these numbers 1221, 1389, 6135, 6141 were the original 4 values within that first cell, right? And these 8 were the original 8 values, and they're still in that particular order. But now what we want to do is we want to pull all this out. We just want to pull this out and have a line break instead of having it in a separate row. So what we need to do is we need to add another column, and this is going to be a custom column that we want to pull just that particular value out, these values out. So go under custom column, and I'm not going to call it anything right now. Since this is a table, we need to use table M code. So it's going to be table dot column, open parentheses, and we want to take that count table, and in that count table we want this particular column taken out. So in double quotes, SIC dash title. This has to be the right case, uppercase then lowercase. Close double quotes, close parentheses, click OK, and now we have this list, right? So this list is perfect for what we need. And now what I can do is I can click on these double arrows, and it's going to ask me if I want to extract it, expand it to new rows, or just extract the values. And that's what I want. I want to extract the values, and it's going to ask me if I want to add any delimiters. And yes, I do. I want to add the line feed, so I have to go under custom and concatenate using special characters, because the line feed is a special character. And once I click on that drop down, we have our line feed selection here. Click OK, and now you notice that it has come across, right? So I've got my I've got this here. Now I've got my 4 here. I should have my 8 here. If I click on my table here, I can see that it shows up here. Maybe it just doesn't show because it doesn't have the width available to see it. Let's see what happens when we take it out. All I need to do is probably change this. Also change the heading here. Double click that SIC dash title. Maybe I should have done it here. And I don't need these anymore, these 2 columns. So press enter, click here, right click. Since I select this column, I'm just going to remove the other columns, right? And now I can go to home, close and load, and by default it's going to load it into a new worksheet. Oh, it didn't because I was on the connection only here. So I'm going to change it. So I'm going to right click and click load to and change it from connection only to table. So once I load it to a table, it's going to show up here, and I'm going to have my values here. And it looks horrible here because I need to expand out the width. Click everything here and double click to auto fit, and let's see if I got my values here. So let's see if I got everything in the correct order. It's probably better that I view this with another window. Let's go view, new window, and let's try to see it if I can make this something that I can see both windows, right? Let's make this over here. We'll make that a little bit smaller. Right, so now I can see both windows. You can see this is window number 1, this is window number 2. And let's see. I've got my 1221, 1389, 6135, 6141. Yep, that's right. And it's in the same order, right? 4458, and the bottom one's 5020. That's right. 8731, 1221. And if I scroll down, we've got our 4 here. 3827 comes first, 1405 comes first. So this is how we can perform a lookup on values that are separated by line feeds and bring them back again in the order that it originally came in. Let's say that's one of the requirements that we have, where we want those same order in those cells. Maybe you have a boss that likes to see things like this and doesn't want to change the order, but still wants you to do a lookup, this is how we can do it. And Power Query gives you the ability to do this on a couple steps. And the nice thing about this also is if things get added on later on down the road, you append more value down here at the table. All you need to do is click refresh, go to data, and click refresh all, and it's going to do it for you because all those steps in the query are recorded. So if I right click, I go under edit, you can see that it's almost like a macro. All the steps here are recorded for you, and once you hit refresh all, it's just going to do it all over again for you. So that's the nice thing about Power Query is it enables you to kind of do it over again, and you don't have to go through all these steps one by one again. So Power Query is great if you ever have a chance to use it and explore it, and this is one of the ways that we can do lookups with Power Query. So I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.